come on. Like, Knights, what was that? Para are the worst defensive team in the comp. How do you concede 28 points? Hey, looks like a party on Saturday night. Woohoo! The Eagles fingers. Yeah. I just. Why did I change to the Tigers? What's going on, guys? It's Burgz back at it again for another week of tips and predictions here on the Casual Athlete. And as you can probably tell by my intro, there was just a few games that I managed to get wrong this week, but we ended up with a nice 5 out of 8 tips correct. And in a week where there was a lot of people not getting that many tips, I managed to rise up the ranks and I managed to get into first position in one of the tipping comps that I'm currently in, guys. So that is good news on the tipping front. But before we go into round 12 tips, guys, just a reminder to like and subscribe to the channel. We bring out so much content each and every week. Please make sure that you hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of our latest content. Now let's do what we always do, guys, and go through last week's tips. And I've got to say, I was pretty happy with the way things turned out. To be fair, not so happy with the Knights. They were absolutely dreadful. Let's be completely honest. They suck right now. Their defense was terrible. Their attack was terrible. There's no direction, no thought process. They looked like they did not care against the Eels, and I think that might be a bit of rebellion against the coach. It looked to me like they were playing to have Adam O'Brien sacked. That's how it came off to me, because Parramatta have the worst defense in the competition, and they scored 6 points against them. And they also conceded 28 points to the team coming second last. Anyway, let's move on. I don't know why I tipped them. Probably shouldn't have. We then went on a great run of fixtures, guys. We got 4 in a row after that first Friday game. Dogs, Warriors, Seagulls, which was a bit 50-50. And I've got to tell you, I think with Jackson Purdue into the halves, I've seen a lot of comments coming out, bagging Todd Payten to, never drop Clifford again. This is what happens when you drop Clifford. Combos take time, guys. Like, don't have a go at Todd Payten for trying to put in probably what is our best young prospect into the position that he has played his entire career. Give him a bit of a go. I think it's definitely a move that you want to make anyway, to move Tom Dearden into the halves. And I've never been the biggest fan of Clifford. The only thing I think he has is a strong kicking game, and that's about it. That's really all I see from Jake Clifford. But I do think that Cowboys decision may be a little hasty. The combo is going to take a bit of time, so hopefully they get a few more shots at it before Todd Payten maybe thinks about changing things up again. And the Sharks tip. I was confident with the Sharks. They came out and they played to the level of Melbourne. And this Melbourne side, they're a bit of a fake Melbourne. As I keep saying, over the last 2 years, everyone considers them to be this massive premiership threat. And I just thought on the weekend that last week they got this big 64-point win. It's like, the Storm are back, the Storm are back. No, let's pump the brakes a little bit. The Storm have actually not been the best team in the competition this year. They have faded off really well in games. Last year they won like a lot of close games and had a few really crazy tries towards the end of games to get them over the line. And this year, they're a little bit fake to me. Like, this isn't the Storm of 2016, 2017, the dominant Cam Smith, Slater, Cooper Cronk-led Storm. Those players are all-time great players, and no doubt the players they have in there are good players, very good players. But it's not the same side, and this Melbourne team is a little bit weak in the middle, and the Sharks exposed that. Adam Fanua-Blake, 100 post-contact meters, absolutely dominated the game, and that laid the platform for his outside backs. Mulatalo was outstanding, Iro outstanding again, and even with Ramian and Stone Street going down, they managed to hang on and win this game. Great win for the Sharkies. Broncos, now this is a whole different can of worms. They have now lost 5 out of their last 6 games, and this current Broncos roster, should not be doing that. They have one of the best teams on paper. Carrigan, Haas, they lay the platform. Where it's going from there is an absolute schmozzle. They're looking gassed. They look tired. They're not competing on all the effort plays, and I think the Dragons just out-enthused them on the weekend. You got to be able to get up in front of your home crowd after 2 pretty woeful losses and give maximum effort, and they didn't do that again, and they got beaten once again. I thought Ezra Mann was outstanding on return, but geez, the Broncos really need to fix some stuff over the next couple of weeks, especially during this origin period where they tend to lose some of their best players. The Raiders got a big win down in Canberra. That was expected. And I changed my tip, guys, to the Tigers. Hasty decision if you guys watched the last minute madness that I do with Longy on Thursdays. We started on Monday, we had the Rabbitohs locked in, and then towards the end of the week, I started getting a bit of a vibe that the Tigers were going to maybe snap out of it and put on a better performance. And the only person who did that was Api Coruscant, and he was fantastic in this game. Not going to take anything away from his performance, but the rest of the team did not back him up. So that means we end up with 5 out of 8 tips correct, guys, and I will take that this week. Managed to rise quite a lot of ranks. As I said, moved up the leaderboard in a lot of comps. The tipping has been outrageous this year, and it is definitely set to continue. So let's get into round 12. Okay, guys, just the 5 games to speak about for round 12. So let's get straight into the action. On Thursday night, we have the Dogs taking on the Dolphins, and this will be an interesting affair considering the amount of outs that both teams will have for this game. Max King and Crichton, as we know, have been selected for Origin, so they are out. They will still not have Tupanua and Preston. They will get Josh Curran back this week, and that is a massive in. But they also lose Daniel Saluka-Fafita, who's been playing a pretty decent role for them in the middle. And I thought Lipoy Hopoy was fantastic last week for the Dogs. But let's move to the Dolphins side of the ball. They won't have the hammer. That is 100% happening. He is either the form fullback for Queensland at this point in time, or he's definitely getting picked somewhere in that team. Gilbert, he is also going to be out for this game. New pectoral injury. Not so sure of the severity at this time, but he is probably most likely going to be out for this game. And it then comes down to who's going to play fullback. Herbie Farnworth has said in many a time that he would love to get an opportunity to play fullback. I personally would love to see that, although he is extremely damaging at centre. And we know that Trey Fuller in recent years has come in to help them play backup fullback, and he's been a fantastic find for them. But he has torn his ACL earlier in the season, so we know it won't be him. Jermaine Asako is then the only other guy that I know of in that Dolphins side that has played a lot of fullback. Will they throw the dice to him and say, do your worst? Because they need a win right now, the Dolphins, and I'm not sure it's going to come this week against the Dogs. The Dogs have once again proven that they can win games no matter who is in the team, no matter who steps up. And they're going to need a lot of guys to step up. But the one thing that concerns me about the Dogs is there's no Stephen Crichton there this week. Now, that's the big one. I know I mentioned him before. He is just the leader out there. Like I said, I think Longy said it as well. I'm coming more on to the idea that Stephen Crichton should probably be the Blues captain going into this Origin series. That's how much of an impact I think he has had on this Bulldogs side. Can they get up for him while he's out? I do believe so. I think that the Dogs carry on and win this game this week. They have been fantastic with the amount of outs they've had, and I have no reason to doubt them for this one. Let's go the Dogs at home, 1-12. We then move on to the only Friday fixture of round 12, and that is the Eels taking on the Manly Seagulls at CommBank Stadium. Now, the Seagulls have played the Eels 6 times at the new CommBank/Bank West Stadium, and they have only won once since the stadium opened. So that is a very interesting thing for me to note, but let's go through the outs for both teams as well. As we know, the DCE will probably get selected for Queensland this coming Monday. Now, this comes out before that announcement, but I do expect DCE to be picked. Ola Kawatu, however, is the only other Manly player selected in the team for New South Wales. No Trebojevic brothers, so that is a big inclusion for Manly when it comes to this game, as the Eels will not have Mitchell Moses, who has been selected to play alongside Cleary, and no Zach Lomax as well, who had a great game coming back from injury last week. Now, I thought the Eels were fantastic on the weekend against the Knights. It was easily their best attacking game, their best defensive game as well, their most complete, well-rounded 80 minutes that they'd ever played. I thought the 40 minutes in between, yeah, they lacked a bit of polish. They probably bombed a few tries. It probably should have been 40-6, not 28-6, but you live and you learn, and I think this Parramatta Eels team are looking better and better each week. And coming into this fixture against the Seagulls, who, let's be honest, weren't perfect against a Cowboys side that was working out a few combinations. They're going to be missing some big players, but I just think the outs for Parramatta are way too big. Lomax was one of their best players on the weekend, and Moses has been fantastic since he's come into the team. So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to tip the Seagulls in this one. I think the halfback position is up for grabs between Joey Walsh and Jake Arthur. Jake Arthur obviously would come in and play his former team in this one. But I like the signing of Joey Walsh. Like, put him in there, another young 19-year-old, rugby boy as well, played under 18s rugby for Australia as well. So I think that's someone that the Seagulls can get excited about and some fans can have a look towards the future for. And Luke Brooks is easily the best half as far as the two teams are concerned. Dylan Brown has struggled in the past with Moses being out of the team. So, unfortunately, I'm going to go the Seagulls this week, 1-12. On to Saturday's games, and the first one is out at Bathurst, where we have the Penrith Panthers taking on the Newcastle Knights. Now, the Panthers are shooting for 10 in a row against the Knights come this week, but it is a very different Panthers team to the one that has been seen over the last 5 years. So maybe the Knights are looking at a potential upset here, but they have a long way to go from their performance last week against the Eels. And to compound that, they have injuries galore at this point in time. Dylan Lucas didn't finish the game last week. We have Greg Marzu still out. Bradman Best has picked up a new injury and he's out for quite a while. And you'd probably expect Ponga to be selected for Origin. So there goes their entire attack. I don't know who's going to be the halves this week, but that's the case every week for Newcastle as well. For the Panthers, they'll have a host of outs as well. Cleary, Yo, Martin will be out. To'o is also been selected for Origin. Dylan Edwards is also out. But I just feel like this Panthers side could still beat the Knights. Like, just considering how bad the Knights have been in this competition, they cannot, for the life of them, score points. It's a joke. Like, as I said in my review of last week, I just think this Knights side lacks direction. They lack ingenuity. There's no creativity. It's so one out, boring. Um, I know I'm giving them an absolute tongue lashing right now, but they kind of need it. As I said, it looked like they didn't care on the weekend. They went into that game against the Eels at home once again and just would not give anything to the Eels. They didn't actually throw an offload. I think it was one offload they threw for 75 minutes. Like, that is completely unacceptable. Um, yeah, Jacob Saifidi's also out as well, so that doesn't help them. I'm actually going to go the Panthers this week against the Knights. Panthers off a week off, like the rest of the guys are off a week off, and could build some confidence. There's a couple of guys with the Panthers being not the greatest team right now. There's a couple of guys fighting for spots, so you could definitely see them showing out in this game and giving it a red hot crack. So I'm going to go the Panthers 1-12. The second game on Saturday is the Roosters taking on the Sharks up at the Central Coast, a stadium that the Roosters have not lost at since 2019. They tend to take one game a year there, and they have decided to take the Sharks, who are fresh off beating the Storm there this week, and both teams will have some outs for this game. Tedesco not selected for Origin, so that is a big plus for the Roosters, but they will lose Connor Watson, and there are some talks that Robert Toyer will also be selected for the Queensland side, and the other one would be Lindsay Collins. Now, Sharks side of things, they actually don't have too many Origin selections. I don't think they actually have any, to tell you the truth, to speak of. But the question will be, is Ramian going to be available for this game? He picked up an eye injury last week. That is why he didn't come back into the game. Wasn't a head knock. It was an eye injury. And then we have Sam Stonestreet, who went down last week with a syndesmosis, so he could be out for up to 6 to 8 weeks. Now, the question is, do they stick with Atkinson and Talakai, who got murdered by Xavier Coates last week, who scored 3 tries? And basically, you could see Daniel Tupou, maybe back in his heyday, doing a very similar thing. Billy Smith has been very good in the air as well. So I do think that the Sharks will struggle defensively, and they could take a little bit of a relax off last week's big they got up for last week's game, but this Sharks team hasn't been that consistent this year. Neither of the Roosters, but this Sharks team, I can definitely see them dropping the pedal a little bit and just, relaxing. I think the Roosters let one slip last week. They probably should have gone on to win that game against the Dogs. And Marky Mark's try was outstanding. Nawanga Nitawase is an absolute freak. He did have a bad night under the high ball, though. But I don't think he'll be on the wing this week if Robert Toya gets selected. I think Mark will move back into the centres, which opens the door for Dom Young to come back in, who needs to prove that he can still play NRL level. And with talks about him leaving, I think he could have a pretty big game. And I actually think the Roosters could definitely get a win here. And I'm going to back them this week. I think the Roosters will get one over on the Sharks. I just don't think that this Sharks side are that consistent, and that's something that I have to hang my hat on. And I think the Roosters get a win this week, 1-12. Last game of the round, and we are over in Auckland, where the Warriors will be taking on the Raiders. Now, the Warriors, they are easily the best close game team in the competition right now. They have now won 6 games by 8 points or less. How they keep doing it is beyond me. They are gritty. They hang in there. Their defense is outstanding. It's definitely gotten a lot better. But this Raiders side are not short on points. Don't get that twisted. But they could have a few outs this week. I expect Corey Horsburgh to get picked. And it's a big toss of the coin as to whether you want Cobbo going into Origin with an injury. We know Murray Taulagi won't be there. So do you pick a guy like Xavier Savage? And if Savage is out, then they're going to have to replace a bit of speed on that right-hand side. They've got Michael Osamua, who's a winger in their top 30, but they also have Chevy Stewart, who has been playing in the centres recently for Canberra's reserve grade side, and I'd love to see him back out there. I think Chevy Stewart is a brilliant young talent. Just came in a little bit too early last year, and Ricky's doing that thing where he gives guys a bit of a taste of it and then puts them back to reserve grade for a year like he did with Xavier Savage. But that's a real toss of the coin for me. I think this Raiders side are playing fantastic football, but they really start slow. Like, they often concede the first try, and after that, it almost wakes them up, and then they go, "Oh, damn, oh, shit, we're in a game. Like, we need to play." And then they turn it on, especially in that second half against the Titans. Well, what was that from the Titans? But we'll get into that at a later date. I don't love this Warriors team at the moment. I feel like they're kind of hanging on in games, and I think the Raiders definitely have enough points in them to be able to bury this Warriors team, and they won't be able to come back from it. This Raiders side are really well drilled. They have some great interchange of passing for backline plays. It's something that I haven't really seen from the Raiders in quite a while, and I'm absolutely loving it. So I'm going to back the Raiders to win this week. I'm pretty sure that's an upset as well. I think the Warriors are a little bit of a fake side right now. No offense to them. I love seeing them up there at this point in time, but their points differential tells you the entire story. It's +5 right now. We are 11 games into the season. They are sitting second on the ladder, and their points differential is +5. So it tells you a lot that they are winning some very close games. And the Raiders already put a score on them earlier in the year in Vegas. So I expect that to happen again. Let's go the Raiders, 13+. So guys, that's it for the video this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your tips and predictions down in the comments section below. Please make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. We bring out so much content each and every week, and I'll catch you on the next one.